I want to start today with a little linguistic puzzle. It's one of those things that, you never really notice until you try to translate something and you just stop and go, wait, why do we say it like
I
this?
love these. Okay, hit me. What's the puzzle?
Okay, so think about the act of forgiving someone. In English, it's pretty straightforward. You forgive them. One word. Simple.
Right. It's a single, self-contained verb. I forgive you. Done.
Exactly. It's efficient. But in Hindi, you don't really forgive. You do forgiveness. The phrase is shma karna.
Ah, yes. Shma being the noun, forgiveness, and karna, of course, to do.
Right. You have to perform the action of it. And it's not just that one example. You don't help someone, you do help. You don't yawn, you actually take a yawn. The action feels split.
And that splitting is exactly what we're deep diving into today. What you're talking about is a huge feature in South Asian languages and, frankly, a massive headache for computers. We're talking about complex predicates.
Complex predicate, that sounds clinical.
It does, a little. But we're going to zero in on a specific type called conjunct verbs. We're looking at this really fascinating paper from 3 Hyderabad by Rafia Begum and her team.
The paper is called Identifying Hindi Conjunct Verbs to Enhance Dependency Parsing Accuracy. Now, I know dependency parsing sounds a bit dry.
It can, yeah.
But we should be clear, this isn't just grammar for grammar's sake. This is about why your computer is probably pretty bad at understanding Hindi.
That's the whole mission, really. See, a native Hindi speaker hears forgiveness due, and their brain just, clicks it together into forgive. It's automatic. But for a computer,
It takes it literally.
it takes it completely literally. The machine sees the word forgiveness and thinks, okay, noun, that's an object. Then it sees do and thinks, aha, that's my verb.
So it thinks Ram is, like, performing an object named forgiveness, like he's juggling it.
Exactly. And the entire grammatical structure of the sentence it collapses.
Yeah.
The dependency parse, which is just a fancy way of saying who did what to whom, gets totally scrambled.
So this research is about teaching the machine to see that partnership, to see those two words as one single idea.
That's the goal. And to do that, we have to understand what these things are. So complex predicate is the big umbrella term.
Right.
There are 2 main types. You've got verb plus verb combinations. Those are called compound verbs.
But that's not what we're focused on today, is it?
No, and the paper makes that clear. Identifying verb pairs is actually a mostly solved problem. Computers are already at about 98% accuracy there.
Because a verb usually looks like a verb.
Pretty much. The real challenge, the real sort of Wild West, is the conjunct verb.
And that's the noun plus verb team up, or adjective plus verb.
Precisely. The conjunct verb, or CV. And it has 2 very distinct parts. First, you have what's called the host. That's your noun or adjective, like madad for help.
So the host carries all the meaning. The what?
The semantic substance is the technical term. It's the core idea. The second part is the light verb. This is your karna, to do, or hana, to be.
Why light?
It's light because it sort of emptied itself of its main meaning. The paper talks about this. The light verb provides the semantic structure. It handles the grammar, the tense, all that stuff. It basically sacrifices its own identity to let the noun become an action.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a support character.
The ultimate support character. And there are a few usual suspects. The paper lists them. Harna, to do. Ona, to be. Dana, to give.
Right.
Lina, to take. And Ana, to come.
But here's the trap, right? Because sometimes to give just means to give.
This is the core of the problem. If I say, Ram gave a book, Danan is a heavy verb. A physical object changed hands. But if I say Ram gave an order, he didn't hand over a physical thing called an order.
Okay, so Dana became light. The meaning got bleached out of it.
And a computer has to figure that out. Is this a physical transfer or an abstract action? And to do that scientifically, you can't just rely on intuition. You need rules.
Which brings us to the linguistic diagnostics, the stress tests.
Yes. The researchers used 5 of them to see if that bond between the noun and the verb was truly unbreakable.
I love this part. It's like taking the sentence into a lab. So test 1 is coordination.
Right. The basic rule here is that you can't link the nouns inside 2 different conjunct verbs with and.
Okay, what's an example?
The paper uses taking interest, Ruchilena, and participating, which is literally taking part, Baglina. Now, in English, you could maybe say he was taking interest in participation. It's a bit clunky, but it works.
But in Hindi, if you try to say interest in part taking were...
The sentence just fails. It's ungrammatical. You have to repeat the verb. You have to say taking interest in taking part. The nouns are glued to their verbs.
So if you can't list them together, they're conjuncts. Got it. What about test 2? the way question.
This one is really telling. You can't ask what about the noun inside the conjunct verb.
They use the yawn example again here. Ram ne jam hai li. Ram took a yawn.
Right. Now, if I ask in Hindi, Ram ne kili, what did Ram take? The question implies he picked up a physical object.
Like he grabbed a yawn off a shelf.
Exactly. It makes no sense.
Mm.
The grammar won't let you isolate yawn as a separate object. You can only ask, what did Ram do?
It's a great filter. If the noun can survive a what question, it's a real object. If not, it's part of the verb.
That's the logic. And it continues through the other tests. Test 3 is relativization.
This one sounds a bit more technical.
It is, but the idea is simple. In English, we can say, the bath that I took was amazing. We've pulled bath out and made it the subject of a new clause.
But you can't do that in Hindi with these.
Not really. The paper's example is the bath which Ram did. To a native speaker, it just sounds wrong. You can't just pull snal bath away from the act of bathing. The seal is too tight.
Okay, that makes sense. And the last two tests are similar.
Very similar logic. Test 4 is about the accusative case marker, wing, which marks a specific object. You just can't put it on the noun in a conjunctive verb. You can't say, Ram took that specific yawn.
Because it's not an object.
In test 5 is the same with words like this or that. If you say Ram gave this order, the this modifies the whole action, not just the word order.
What I find fascinating is that they didn't just assume these rules. They surveyed 20 native speakers.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the results weren't perfectly clean. There wasn't 100% agreement.
Right. They talk about the phrase for to jump chalang mar, which is literally jump hit.
And the speakers were split on whether you could relativize it. Could you say the jump that he hit? Some said yes, some said no.
It's almost reassuring that even native speakers have gray areas. But of course, a computer needs a firm yes or no.
Which takes us from the human tests to the machine learning. They used a maximum entropy model, which is basically a statistical tool, to automate all of this.
They fed it a ton of data, 4,500 sentences to learn from. But sentences aren't enough, are they? You have to give the machine specific clues or features.
Exactly. This is the feature engineering phase.
Mm-hmm.
And they were clever about it. Of course, you look at the words themselves. Karna is a huge red flag for a light verb.
But the coolest feature, for me, was the semantic category. They connected the model to the Hindi wordnet.
A brilliant move. The computer could look up the noun and see what kind of thing it is. Is it an artifact, an abstraction, a state?
It's like giving it a little bit of common sense.
In a way, yes. For instance, the noun vezavaga betrayal. WordNet tags that as antisocial.
The computer knows betrayal is antisocial. I love that.
And that tag is a powerful clue. If a noun is an abstract concept or an antisocial act, it's way more likely to be in a conjunct verb than, say, a banana, which WordNet would call an artifact.
They also use simple checks, right? Boolean features.
Yes, and these were surprisingly effective. The computer just checks. Is there a little word like ka or ke sitting between the noun and the verb? If so, it's almost certainly not a conjunct verb. It's just applying the logic from our linguistic tests.
So they put all these clues into the model, the words, the WordNet categories, the grammar flags. How did it do?
The final accuracy was 85.28%.
85%. In this field, is that a good score?
For a problem this messy and subjective, that's a very strong result. And what's really revealing is what helped the most. Adding the WordNet data, the semantic stuff, gave them a boost of about 0.75%.
Which feels kind of small.
It's modest, yeah. But adding those simple Boolean features, the is there a word in between checks, they gave them a massive jump of over 3%.
So sometimes the simplest rules are the most powerful.
Definitely. But they also found what doesn't work. They tried one feature where they counted grammatical arguments before the verb pair.
The idea being that maybe if the sentence was already full, it was less likely to be a conjunct.
Something like that. And it was a total failure. It actually decreased the accuracy by almost 8%.
Wow. It just added noise and confused the machine.
Proving that more data isn't always better data. They threw that feature out.
Okay, so we have a tool that's 85% accurate. Let's get to the so what part. How does this actually help a parser understand Hindi better?
This gets us back to the big picture. Hindi is what linguists call a more FW language.
More.
MORFWO. Morphologically rich, free word order. Unlike English, where dog bites man is very different from man bites dog.
In Hindi, you can scramble the words around a lot more, and the core meaning stays the same because of case markings.
Which is a nightmare for a parser. It can't rely on word position, and these conjunct verbs make it so much worse because the main action is split in two.
So a standard parser looks at help do, sees the noun help, and just tags it as a regular object of the sentence.
Correct. It tags it as K2, the theme or object. It fundamentally misunderstands the action. So Begum's team took their 85% accurate tool and ran it first. It went through and put a new label on these pairs. POF.
Cough.
P-O-F.
Yeah.
It's a flag for the parser that says, hey, don't treat this noun as an object. It's part of the verb.
And what was the payoff? Did it work?
It did. They saw an improvement in label accuracy of 0.39%.
Okay, I have to be honest. Less than 0.5%. After all that work, that seems tiny.
I knew you were going to say that. And on the surface, yes, it looks small, but in parsing, improvements are often incremental. More importantly, it's about where the improvement came from.
Okay.
It wasn't just a random accuracy boost. It specifically fixed that core confusion between K1, the agent, the doer, and K2, the object. It stopped the parser from making that fundamental mistake of thinking forgiveness was an object.
So it's not about the quantity of the improvement, it's about the quality. It fixed a deep conceptual error.
Exactly. It fixed the root of the tree. If you get the main predicate wrong, everything that depends on it is also wrong. And we should also mention, this is one of the first studies to do this using only a Hindi corpus.
What does that mean?
A lot of earlier work had used parallel text. They'd look at an English sentence with the verb forgive, find the matching Hindi sentence, and then assume that forgiveness do was the equivalent. They were using English as a crutch.
I see. So this work lets Hindi grammar stand on its own 2 feet, so to speak.
It's a huge step towards building high-quality language tools for Indian languages on their own terms, without needing to be tied to English. It's a really big deal.
I want to leave our listeners with one final thought, and it goes back to that survey, the one where the native speakers couldn't agree.
The jump hit controversy.
Yes. We're spending all this energy trying to teach a machine to be 100% certain, to give a perfect, binary, yes or no answer for every single phrase. But the actual humans who created and use the language every day, they look at some of these phrases and say, I'm not really sure.
It shows the language has fuzzy edges.
It's all fuzzy edges, so it brings up a strange question. If we actually succeed, if we build an AI that perfectly categorizes every verb based on our strict rules, is that AI speaking a more correct version of Hindi than the humans are?
That is a fascinating paradox. Are we teaching the machine the language as it's truly spoken, or are we forcing the language into a neat little box that just happens to fit our algorithms?
Something for you to mull over. Thanks for joining this deep dive.
Thank you.